Hi guys, if you're listening to this video, that means that you need help with your Fable or Myth story maps. The reason why we're using the story maps are to help us gain a better understanding of what's going on in the text that we're reading. If you recall, we also use something called the plot map or the roller coaster that you guys see as an anchor chart hanging on the wall in the classroom. This helps us organize the incidents or events that happen in the story, and that way we can see which events influence the next things that happen in the story. For example, the rising action are the events or incidents that lead up to the problem or conflict. The climax is the point in the story when the main character realizes there is a problem. The falling action is when the character works to solve the problem. And then the resolution is how the story ends and when we realize if the problem has been solved or not. The rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution are all events or incidents that take place in a fictional text. Therefore, when I'm asking you for the events, I'm talking about one of these four things. Now let's take a look at the story map. You'll notice that the story map is asking us for the main characters in the setting. For those of you who may have forgotten, the main character is who the story is mostly about. There may be one main character or more than one. You basically need to find this out by figuring out who the story is mostly about and who that character interacts with throughout the story. Remember that the setting is where the story takes place. And if you're reading a fable, I can guarantee you more than likely your setting is going to take place outside. Now, when we talk about the problem, what I want to know is exactly what's the issue. Remember yesterday, during our read aloud, we read about the boy who cried wolf. The problem in the story was not that the boy was a liar. The problem in the story was that the wolf ate the sheep, plain and simple. So remember, when you're telling me the problem, you're giving me the issue, only the issue in the story. So the problem needs to be the issue in the story. What is wrong? Or what is the main character trying to accomplish? Comma, and what stands in his or her way? The major events in the fable are going to be the things that we would find on the plot map. So these are going to be your rising action, or actions, because there may be more than one event. And remember, your rising actions are going to be events that lead up to the problem. For example, in our read aloud yesterday, we said that the problem was the wolf ate the sheep. The rising actions, or the events that led up to that problem, we said was the shepherd boy lying and telling the villagers that there was a wolf when actually there was not one. This caused them not to trust him, which in turn led to the problem, which is when the wolf actually did come and he cried wolf, they didn't believe him. So make sure you have the events that lead up to the problem, not the problem. Then we're going to add the problem. And then we're going to add the falling actions, or the steps the main character takes to solve the problem. Now, when the wolf ate the sheep, the falling action in our read aloud yesterday, or the steps the main character took to solve the problem, would be him calling wolf for the villagers to come help him. But because of the initial events that happened, or the first events that happened in the story, the villagers didn't come. So he did take steps to try to solve the problem, but because of other events in the story, the problem was not solved. Then you're going to have to include the solution or resolution, which we said earlier is basically how the problem is solved, or the ending of the story. Now, looking at this, once you write the information under this square, you'll notice you basically have the summary of your fable or your myth, okay? And then what we're going to do is move on. The last one asks you for the solution, so you'll just basically reword what you wrote in this square right here over here. And remember, the solution is how the problem is solved. Then you are faced with determining the moral or the theme. All fables have a moral, which is a lesson that the reader will learn from reading it. And you guys are actually quite lucky, because in your fables in your packet, I went ahead and just left the morals there. However, remember I said when you write the moral, it needs to be in your own words. Do not copy word from word from the fable that I gave you. If you do that, I will deduct points. So remember, the moral is the lesson the main character learns in the story. Remember, this is universal, meaning that it can be applied to anybody's life. So when I say this is universal, I mean it can be applied to your life and make you better. For example, the moral in our read aloud yesterday, The Boy Who Cried Wolf, or The Shepherd Boy and the Wolf, as it was titled, we learned that basically once you lie, you are labeled as a liar. So when you do decide to tell the truth, most people will not believe you. That is something that if you apply that lesson or that moral to your life, it will help you become a better person, because you'll be looked at as a more trustworthy person. Okay? So, if we are looking for the theme, we're looking for something that's common and that people all deal with in their life. So when I talk about theme, it's going to be something that is common and experienced throughout life. Now, what I mean by this, guys, is most fictional text, you will see that there's a theme either about love or bravery or determination, about friendship, about loyalty, about respect. These themes can be found especially in myths and fables. But with fables, I want you to focus more at the moral. With your myths, I want you to focus more on the theme. Okay? This should help you guys out. If you have any questions after watching this video, please feel free to pair up with someone else in the class who is working on the same fable or myth as you. Thank you for watching the video.